Hello, my soul friends, it's Victoria, and this is an unscripted video that I was just called to come on and share what was on my heart, how I'm feeling, because I know I'm not alone. I know that we're all connected, and I just feel in the collective this deep sadness, and that was bubbled up yesterday when many of us learned the news that this very bright light in the world and the entertainment industry took his own life. And though we didn't know him, Twitch, his name that he went by, his given name was Stephen Boss. And I was so, I could feel into the collective, I could feel in my own body how it felt to hear the news that another beautiful soul found this world too hard to be in. And it puzzles the mind, doesn't it? Especially when we look from the outside. We have no idea what his inner world was like, what was going on for him. But when we look from the outside and we see this bright light, I watched some of his videos. I wasn't super familiar with him. I'd seen him on Ellen, and yes, bright, bubbly soul, right? No idea what the inner struggle was like. No idea. This man seemed to have it all, right? Success, beautiful wife, children. And yet we are reeling. And not just for his life, but yes, this bright light is gone. Not gone, living on through all the lives he touched in all the many ways he brought his unique, beautiful soul to make this world better. But we're so deeply impacted by this, and I was sitting with it and contemplating the ripple of this, and why do we feel so devastated even though we don't know the person. I think that there's many levels, and I'll tell you, for me, I'm going to be very vulnerable because I think it takes a vulnerability to shift the consciousness around depression and those dark moments we all have that we try to separate from or deny or numb ourselves out of. I think a lot of people are reeling because there before the grace of God go I. And I hope that we celebrate his life, but we also take this very sad ending and learn how we can do better to outreach to people and to be honest about what's going on with us. And I started thinking about my own dark moments, and I don't talk about them. And we don't talk about them, do we? Especially for me as a person who supports others, as a healer, as a hypnotherapist, all these tools to support and bring light. The quote comes to mind, the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. And there's another beautiful quote, I don't know exactly how it goes, but it's something like, be kind to one another. Everyone is battling something, right? Everyone. So I want to just put that out there first of all. Yes, I have my dark times just like everyone else, and sometimes they're pretty intense. I remember when I worked for hospice, and I just thought I couldn't go on. I couldn't go on with the weight of the world and the pain in the world that I saw. And fortunately, I told my partner at the time, who's now my husband. I mean, I literally was trained in supporting people who had suicidal ideation, and there I was thinking, how would I do it? What would I do? And so you know that when you're trained in a therapeutic modality, we always check to see if there's a plan. Is there a plan besides this thought or wanting to end a life? Because that's really the danger zone area, right? Well, so here's the thing I want you to know, couple of things. This was what was on my heart before I go too far, too deep, and get lost in this very intense topic that we need to talk about. I feel my heart, and those of you out there who are empathetic, or those of you who struggle yourself, I feel that we have become so separated that we can feel very alone, and we need at least one person to know. Like, I'm having this image of, like, yes, if I go into the darkness, and here's the thing, that's part of the transformational process. We can go into a dark night of the soul. We can go away from all that we knew, because we don't want our life to end. We want the way things were to end. We want the struggle to end. We want the pain to end. So the idea of ending one's life or not having hope is that the person is really wanting something to end that they can't manage. Okay. And we can sink into that darkness thinking there's no lifeline, right? So it's important. And I want to speak to anyone out there struggling and you're holding that on your own, to find at least one safe person to share that with. One safe person. I fortunately, I have a very amazing husband that he knows how to hold the line for me when I go. I'm a Scorpio. I can go deep into the underworld, right? Into the darkness, for the purpose of healing and emerging. So he holds I'm having this image and I don't know what it is. Like, it's lifeline. It's like if I'm deep diving, the person in the boat that's monitoring my line. And I'm very honest with him. I'll say to him, I'm really struggling. Or I'll identify a need. I need to cry. I need to watch a movie to just get this out. I need to rage a little bit because I'm really angry at what's going on in the world. So one person that you can identify to say, will you be my lifeline? Will you be available if I'm willing to be brave and vulnerable to tell you I'm starting to sink? I think it's essential. I think it's important. And of course, I'm mindful that there are people who feel like you don't have anyone. And this is where, a lot of people were posting about Twitch's death and about mental health, and posting a number. And I was curious about this. Call 988, crisis hotline. And I thought to myself, well, I know when I've been in dark moments, I'm probably not going to pick up a phone and call somebody I don't know. So that was what I thought. But I called today because I was curious. What is this 988, And I'm waiting, and God bless these people that are manning the phones 24/7. By the way, this is a 24/7 outreach hotline. It took almost 2 minutes before someone picked up. They have a repeating message: stay on the line, someone will be with you. And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm in this much pain, or if I'm in pain, am I going to hang on to this line? And then this very kind soul answered, and I told him, I'm actually not calling for myself right now. I'm calling to know what it is you offer and how it works. And I said to him, I can't imagine if someone's in crisis, they're going to wait even a minute. And he said, actually, people do wait, and we do help a lot of people. And you'd be surprised. I cry. How much people just need to know that there's another person there. And that really touched me. I thought, I've been there, before, when I was single for years, and I've been there. I've been through some really hard stuff on my own. I don't have kids, and I don't live close to my family. And when I was living alone and didn't have a partner, and went through some really heavy things. For me, when he said that, I remembered that I had written down for myself a 24/7 prayer hotline. And I would call these people, God bless them, in the middle of the night, just to hear another person's voice, just to be caught in my aloneness. So I'll post prayer hotlines underneath this video and the details. And the 988 number, you now know. Another thing that they offer, the uh, nationwide crisis, and they're all trained crisis professionals. But he said to me, some people who don't want to call, it's more comfortable to text. There's a number to text, and I tested that as well, and it is 741-741. So you text 741-741 and you type in the word home, and then you get an immediate, we'll be right with you, we're connecting you to a crisis counselor. And I didn't want to go through the whole process there. I just texted back and said, I'm just testing this out as a resource. So there's that resource. But, when we're struggling with our mental health, it's really challenging to navigate to that support. So if I'm catching you right now in this moment and you are someone that sometimes struggles, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I do. I often do. I remember hearing a term when I was training as a hypnotherapist called dysthymia. It's a diagnosis, DSM diagnosis for mild, consistent depression. And I thought, maybe I have that. I've never been diagnosed with depression. I know I can swing low, and I can swing high. I have not been diagnosed with bipolar. I have a spiritual lens I look through for that particular DSM. I believe that it is our soul and the human experience trying to find the balance. And when we swing high, it's because we're connecting to our essence. And when we swing low, we're so sunk in the human experience, and it is hard to navigate. This world is hard to navigate, isn't it? And it is, if you don't have any support, even harder. So my heart is with you. Again, I've lived alone. I've been alone. I've been in my dark times alone. So I'm speaking to your heart. The person in the mirror, you look in the mirror, that person looking back at you, that soul in the mirror, I know you have resources to help others. We need to learn to help ourselves if there isn't someone around. So like I did, write out some numbers that you could call to resources for you. But here's the thing I really feel on my heart to tell you. One person, if you could find one person to be that sacred space for you, a minister, a friend, heck, even someone like me. If you feel a connection to me, email me. And let me know that if you're struggling, find that just one person you can be that vulnerable with, and to say, I think that when we sit with it alone in our own worlds, it can grow in the dark, it can grow bigger. So we need to just kind of, I'm having this image of just turning on the light by talking to someone, saying, you know what? I do struggle sometimes, and I need someone to talk to about that. And of course, most importantly, and I really want to encourage you to reach for a therapist aligned with what you're going through. If you're struggling with depression, somebody who specializes in that. If you're struggling with grief, find a grief counselor. I have those tools in my tool bag, but I'm not a traditional mental health therapist. I'm an alternative therapist. And I know my scope of practice. If it feels like my client or person who's coming to me needs additional support, I know how to refer those people out. And so I just want to say that there is someone available for everyone. And I'm thinking, to find someone, gosh, I'm even thinking of offering this just as a service to help connect you to resources. I know that there are agencies that do that. Like, you just make that one call, and maybe they find that person for you. So one person, okay? And here's what I want you to hold, and I want to just put this from my heart into your heart. that you are worthy and that you matter. And this human experience is hard, and we can forget who we are. You know, I had this phrase come to me the other day in a meditation. I often would quote the Bible and trying to make sense of other people's behavior that was hard for me to understand, and remembering that mostly we operate out of our subconscious material. 95% of the time we're in our subconscious mind, and if we don't have strong resources in there, then we're going to struggle. But or when someone harms us, this is where I used to offer the quote: when people harm us and do things that can cause us pain, Jesus said, "Forgive them, they know not what they do." But in my meditation, I heard, "Forgive them, they know not who they are." And I think that's important for us. We must remember who we are. We are children of God or the universe, or however you connect, however you believe. And everyone struggling, I think, is forgetting that, has forgotten that. So now to my support holders, those who know of friends who occasionally struggle, or family members who occasionally struggle, or someone who's just an acquaintance. I'll never forget one time when I was going through a breakup, and I was living alone. I didn't know many people because I'd moved to a new town. And but I met this woman, I don't remember how, or barely knew her. But I was in the supermarket in the middle of the night when she could probably see I'd been crying all day. She asked how I was, and one thing about me, if you know me, I won't lie. If you ask me how I am, I'm not going to say fine, good. I said I'm struggling, and she wrote her number down right in front of me, and she handed it to me, and she said, "Call me any time of the night. I mean it. Even if it's 3 a.m, I mean it. Please call me." I never called her, but that was enough to make me feel like I'm not alone. I'm not alone, and I'm going to be okay. So, supporters, when you sense someone struggling, a friend, anyone, extend your heart a little bit further to connect. Just extend that heart. How are they doing? Ask them, how are you doing? Are you being honest with me? Because I really do care, and I really do want to know. And that question in itself, or writing your number down and saying, "I want you to call me anytime, and I do mean anytime. Here's my number." Extending your heart to their heart is healing. So remember, it truly is, as cliche as it is, we're all in this together, and it's like, this is what I think what happened when we learned of his death, is like this tapestry of life, this that we're all connected, or web of life. That's a better way of saying it, this web of life. And he had a significant role in this earth experience for all of us, even though we didn't know him. And there was a tear in the fabric of life as we know it collectively. And it also wakes us up to the fear of someone we love not being able to navigate a dark night of the soul, or a time of struggle, or even ourselves. So my prayer is that as we grieve any death at this time, a loved one dying, and my family is grieving right now, but a sudden and tragic loss like this, that it does wake us up to a deeper level of compassion for ourselves, for others, and that we find ways to support ourselves and others in a new, more compassionate, connected way. And one last thought I have, and then I want to wrap up. I don't know we'll probably never know what happened to that man, what happened to Twitch, what was the tipping point for him. But I'll tell you this. I hear a lot, and I myself feel triggered a lot by social media and some very unkind posts. And I'm often disillusioned by mankind. And I was humankind, and I can't even say humankind because they're not being kind. I can be disillusioned by what I see, why people are posting about horrendous things, attacking people in the public eye, judging, criticizing. I mean, I have a YouTube channel, and I fortunately have very loving people who are on this journey with me, and I haven't had many negative comments. I had a couple, but then a friend of mine told me the trolls mean when the trolls come means that you're doing something right. But still, trolls, what is this about, people? Trolls and critical voices and negativity. Let's put the kindness back in humankind. So please be mindful when you post something that somebody may be out there feeling kind of weak in their spirit, feeling kind of fragile, struggling, and they see your post. Is it helping them, or is it going to trigger them in a way that, who knows? I'm not blaming here. I'm just bringing awareness. I remember somewhere hearing this phrase, you're either contaminating or contributing. So be mindful what you contribute into the collective, like social media offerings, because your message, let it be something inspiring and empowering and lifting, because we all need that kind of energy right now. This life is hard. Don't make it harder by spilling out judgment and criticism and toxicity. Bring your compassion. Expand your heart. Offer unconditional love and unconditional acceptance, even if it's like, I'll tell you the truth. I'm what's the word? Estranged from a family member. It doesn't mean I don't love her. It doesn't mean I don't send love. It just means that in the human experience, we can't connect right now. And for whatever reason, that's just what is. So love. Don't stop loving. Send your love out. And, one last thing, just like pouring out of me, just so much tenderness about this. If you feel like you don't know what to do, I'll tell you what you can do. Every night I do this. Not every night. I try to every night. I pray for the people on my heart, especially, people I know who've asked for prayer, but I pray for the innocent. I pray for the children who may be in difficult families and difficult situations, and the innocent hearts that I pray for their protection, and I pray for their safety, and I pray for them to know that they're loved right where they are. I pray for the elderly who are maybe alone and helpless, and I pray for them. I pray for all the dependents, animals too, the innocents, elderly, children, animals who are dependent on others for their care. So I send love, and I send light, and I send a prayer. And I pray for those who are sitting in the darkness, not knowing that they are the light. Oh, and so let's remember who we truly are, and remember those who are struggling, who have forgotten who they are. Just bring a little light, a little love, a little acceptance. And you can do this from your home, from your heart, through your prayers. Extend your arms, your hands out, and say, I'm sending this love and connection to anyone who needs it. May they feel loved and held and supported right where they are. May they remember they're not alone. Okay, that's what was on my heart. I hope that it helps someone. That's what we're here to do, help each other. As Ram Dass classically said, we're all just walking each other home. Let's do it with more kindness, more gentleness, more love and compassion, and lift each other up. Take turns. Sometimes we need to take turns lifting each other up. Everyone I know needs that. So let's do our best, bring our best, bring bring our best, bring our joy, bring our best, do our best, and really be humankind. All right, thanks for listening. Comment if something touched you in this video. Get your resources, reach for support if you need it. I love you all. Thanks for listening. Take good care of you. You are worth it.